The EMBRAER E190 lighting system provides lighting to all essential parts of the aircraft. It assures safe and proper operation under normal and emergency conditions. Inside the aircraft, light is provided to the cockpit, cabin, cargo and service compartments. Outside light is provided for navigation, orientation, and identification. In the event of an emergency evacuation, a group of 3 overwing emergency lights located near each overwing emergency exit will illuminate to indicate the evacuation direction. In case of total power loss, power units provide temporary DC power for emergency lighting.
The flight compartment lighting system provides lighting to the work area, panels, and instruments, and consists of the following subsystems. The cockpit light system, which provides beam ambient lighting, used on the sidewalls, seats, and floor of the crew station and observer area. The instrument and control panel light system, which provides lighting for instruments, panels, and push buttons. And the flood storm light system, which provides a proper lighting level in the cockpit for the instruments and assures instrument readability. The cockpit lights include the following components: 2 dome lights located on the cockpit ceiling, which are controlled by a switch on the overhead panel. Power to the dome lights is supplied by the essential DC bus number 3. This permits cockpit lighting in electrical emergency conditions. The pilot, co-pilot, and observer reading lights installed on the ceiling. They help the flight crew to read maps, checklists, and manuals. The lighting intensity level can be adjusted by clockwise or counterclockwise movements of the reading light's inner bezel. The units permit a light beam orientation, zoom, and full movement in any direction by turning the outer bezel. The pilot's and co-pilot's chart holder assembly each have an associated chart light for adequate illumination. They are located over the left and right side windows. The light beams can be deflected up to 20 degrees from vertical axis, which provides a total movement of approximately 40 degrees. 2 on-off variable intensity potentiometers, located on the pilot's and co-pilot's glare shield panels, control the chart holder light's brightness. Turning the knob to the full counterclockwise position turns the light off.
Integrated in the overhead panel is the light's control panel. It associates with the on-off variable intensity potentiometers. Turning these potentiometers in the clockwise direction brightens the background lights of the main panel, the overhead panel, and the pedestal. As a discrete function of the overhead panel potentiometer, the annunciator lights can be set to daylight, bright, and nighttime, dim illumination. Turning the overhead panel lights to the off position will automatically set the annunciator lights to bright intensity. The annunciator's test switch, when actuated to the test position, momentary position, allows checking of the striped bars and caption indications in all push buttons located on the main panel, the overhead panel, and the control pedestal, allowing verification of lamp integrity.
The flood or storm lights provide sufficient lighting intensity to illuminate the main cockpit panel during lighting conditions and to avoid blinding of the pilot's and co-pilot's eyes. The floodlights are located under the main panel and controlled by an on-off variable intensity potentiometer on the glare shield panel. The pilot's PFD, MFD, and ICUS display brightness controls are located on the left glare shield panel, while the co-pilot's PFD, MFD, and standby instruments brightness is controlled from the right glare shield panel. The passenger compartment lighting system provides illumination for the cabin. It consists of the passenger cabin light system, the passenger warning signs system, the reading and attendant call light system, the courtesy stair light system, the lavatory light system, and the galley light system. The passenger cabin lights provide general illumination of the cabin and include the ceiling lights mounted above the passenger service unit structure and the sidewall lights mounted along the sidewalls. Control is provided by 4 switches located on the forward and aft flight attendants panel. 2 of the switches are used to turn the lights on and off, and the other 2 switches are used to control the brightness of the lights. The passenger warning signs provide the passengers and flight attendants with the following signs: no smoking, fasten seat belts, return to seat, and lavatory occupied. The system comprises the no smoking switch located on the overhead panel, which controls the no smoking signs located in the passenger service units. The fasten seatbelt switch, also located on the overhead panel, which controls the fasten seatbelt signs located in the passenger service units, the return to seat sign in the lavatory, and the lavatory door latch engaged switch, which controls the lavatory occupied signs. Note that the no smoking and fasten seatbelt signs will illuminate automatically in case of depressurization or the cabin altitude exceeding 14,000 feet.
The reading and attendant call light system provides adequate lighting for reading and information for attendants regarding passenger or pilot needs. Attendant call lights located on the forward and aft main ceiling panel areas provide visual indication to the cabin crew when there is a call from the pilots or passengers. The orange light indicates a lavatory call, the blue light a passenger call, the flashing red light a pilot emergency call, the green light a pilot call, and the ambered colored light indicates a sterile light call. Test switches installed on the attendant panel are used to check the PSU reading lights, the attendant call lights, and the attendant call annunciator lights. Attendant call switches are located on each passenger service unit and in the lavatory.
The courtesy lights provide lighting for forward and rear main and service door entrances, the air stair, the cockpit step between the cockpit and the cabin, the cockpit dome lights, and the DC ceiling lights mounted on the overhead bins. Courtesy lights are controllable by a switch mounted on the flight attendant panels. The switch gives the crew the option of having the courtesy lights in off or auto mode. Under normal operating conditions, the DC lights are controlled by the cabin lighting system. When normal aircraft power is not available, for example on ground with the APU not running, it is still possible to use the courtesy lights and DC ceiling lights. In this case, the hot bus provides power to these lights. To conserve battery power, these lights operate on a 5-minute cycle. A reset button located on the flight attendant panels and as an option on the cockpit pedestal panel allows an additional 5 minutes of lighting every time the switches are pressed. The lavatory light system provides ceiling and sidewall lighting in the lavatory area. When electrical power is applied to the aircraft, the ceiling lights come on in dim mode. As long as the toilet door is not latched, the lights remain dimmed. If the toilet door is closed and latched, the ceiling lights, the cabinet and sink lights will come on in the bright mode. At the same time, the lavatory occupied sign will illuminate in the cabin. The forward and aft galley light systems provide a direct light source in the galley area for the flight attendants. The galley lights are controlled by switches installed on the respective flight attendant panels. Lights are installed in service and cargo compartments to provide technical and ground handling personnel with adequate lighting. All of these compartment lights are activated by a micro switch or manually when the respective compartment door is opened. The forward cargo compartment has 6 cargo lights and 1 loading light. The aft cargo compartment has 3 cargo lights and 1 loading light. A micro switch on each cargo compartment door controls the cargo compartment lights. A manual switch located by each cargo door can be selected to auto or off position. In auto mode, the cargo lights illuminate when the cargo door is opened and go out when the door closes. The off mode will turn the lights off regardless of the door position. The exterior lighting system uses high-intensity lights. These lights are used for taxiing, takeoff, and landing procedures. They are also used for in-flight orientation and identification of aircraft position, and promotion of the aircraft operator logo. The exterior lights include the following subsystems: the landing lights, the taxi lights, the navigation lights, the inspection lights, the logo lights, and the anti-collision lights. 2 600-watt landing lights are fitted in the wing leading edges close to the fuselage, and 1 600-watt landing light is installed on the nose landing gear assembly. The landing lights receive 28-volt AC from transformers installed near the wing roots and nose landing gear bay. They are each controlled by separate switches located on the overhead panel. The landing lights are supplied by SPDA 1 and 2. In case of a single failure, 2 lights are able to provide enough lighting for a safe landing at night. The landing light installed on the nose landing gear will automatically extinguish when the landing gear is retracted. The ERJ-170 has a total of 3 450-watt taxi lights. Their location is similar to the landing lights, 2 in the wing roots and 1 on the nose landing gear assembly. 115 volts AC from SPDA 1 and 2 is transformed into 28 volts AC and then provided to the 3 taxi lights. The taxi lights have 2 separate switches for appropriate ambient lighting. The 2 taxi lights in the wing-to-fuselage fairing have a common switch, while the nose wheel taxi light has a separate switch. The nose gear taxi light will automatically extinguish if the nose gear is not in the down-locked position.
3 navigation lights, or nav lights assemblies, are installed inside a transparent cover assembly on each wingtip front and rear side. They are turned on via the external lights panel. Each light assembly has 2 lamps, and normally only 1 lamp is on while the second lamp is on standby. The standby navigation light is a redundant light and increases the aircraft dispatchability. It operates from a separate electrical source and is activated by moving the nav switch on maintenance panel to the standby or all if the primary system fails. In case the primary system fails, a message is automatically recorded in the Central Maintenance Computer, CMC. Located in the wingtip, main and standby transformers convert 115-volt AC into 8.3-volt AC for the green and red, and 7-volt AC for the white nav lights. In accordance with international law, the left nav light is red, while the right one is green. The nav lights, which help the aircraft to be visible from behind, are white in color.
The logo light system provides lighting for the carrier's logo located on the vertical stabilizer. The two 150-watt sealed beam lamps for the logo type lights are installed on each side of the horizontal stabilizer. The logo lights are controlled by the logo type light switch located on the overhead panel. Wing inspection lights enable the flight crew to detect ice buildup on the engine intake and wing leading edges. The lights are installed in the forward part of the main fuselage. The wing inspection lights are controlled by the inspection switch located on the overhead panel. The wing inspection lights and the logo lights use 28-volt DC supplied directly from SPDA2. The anti-collision light system includes the strobe lights and red beacon lights. The four strobe lights supply reference from one aircraft to another when in flight. The white 400 candle strobe light lamps are installed inside a transparent cover assembly in the forward and rear edge of both wingtips. Associated with each strobe light is a power supply which is located inside the wing. The strobe lights are controlled by the strobe light switch located on the overhead panel. The red beacon lights are used for ground operations to warn other traffic and airport personnel, or as a backup for the white strobe lights. The two red beacon lights are installed on top and below the main fuselage. The two red beacon lights have separate power supplies. The upper power supply is located left-hand side of the forward baggage bay door. The lower power supply is located at the central wing to fuselage fairing. The emergency light system provides lighting in case there is an electrical emergency condition. It provides enough cabin and exterior lighting to assure safe crew and passenger evacuation even in poor visibility conditions.
The emergency lighting system is powered by 6 emergency light power units, ELPUs. 3 ELPUs are installed in the forward section and 3 in the rear section of the fuselage to ensure power supply in case the cabin breaks apart after a crash landing. The ELPUs automatically provide electrical power to the emergency lights in case of a power loss on the AC essential bus, if commanded by the crew, if in test mode, or if activated from the flight attendant panel. The ELPUs enable emergency illumination for at least 10 minutes. The ELPUs are recharged by the DC Bus 1. All 6 emergency exits are marked with exit locators, markers, and identifiers which are clearly visible when energized under conditions of complete darkness. For general cabin emergency illumination, floodlight assemblies are installed on the aisle ceiling panels distributed along the fuselage. 4 emergency exit area floodlight assemblies are installed at each exit. Their purpose is to illuminate the passageway leading from the main aisle to each of the 4 exit openings. The floor proximity emergency escape path markings are a photoluminescent type and guide passengers to the nearest exit in conditions of dense smoke. The photoluminescent escape path marking near the overwing emergency exits contain red arrows to indicate the exit route. Once outside, the passengers are provided with LED lighting on the sides of the emergency slides and also by a group of 3 overwing emergency lights located near each overwing emergency exit to indicate the evacuation direction.
The emergency light system may be commanded by the emergency light switch located on the overhead panel, or by the attendant emergency light switch located on the attendant control panel. The emergency light switch in the cockpit has 3 positions. In the off position, the emergency lights are permanently turned off. This position prevents the emergency lights from illuminating and the batteries from being drained after normal power shutdown. In the arm position, the emergency lights are in the standby mode and the batteries are charged. When normal aircraft power is lost, the emergency lights will automatically illuminate by power from the ELPU battery packs. In the on position, the emergency lights are manually turned on and supplied by power from the ELPU battery pack.
The emergency light switch on the cabin attendant panel has two positions. In the armed position, the emergency lights remain in the mode determined by the cockpit switch. This is the normal flight position. In the on position, the emergency lights are turned on using power from the battery packs, regardless of the cockpit emergency light switch position. The legend ON, located in the attendant control panel, is illuminated to indicate the switch selection mode. Note that the message will be displayed on the ICUS.
Two flashlights are provided to help the crew during an emergency condition. The flashlight can be activated manually when it is removed from the retention bracket through a slide switch located on the flashlight body. It provides up to 45 minutes of illumination. To turn the flashlight off, you return the slide switch to the normal position. Each flashlight has a 6-volt DC NiCad battery, which is recharged when the flashlight is inserted into its retention bracket. An internal circuit controls the battery recharging process, which can be monitored via an LED indicator near the head of the flashlight. Warning: do not reinsert the flashlight with the slide switch left in the on position. This will result in overheating of and damage to the flashlight assembly.